Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Your Relationship With podcast. I know I've said this multiple times, but this one might actually be my favorite interview ever. Until the next one that is also my favorite interview ever. I am super excited because, as you know, if you've been listening to me or following me for a while, the Powerful Women Rising community is my baby. It took me months and months and months of a lot of brainstorming and talking to people and being quiet and trying to listen to my intuition and what the universe was trying to tell me and trying to clean up all of the trash in my brain that was like, you shouldn't do this. And finally, what was born was the Powerful Women Rising community. What I really wanted to create in the Powerful Women Rising community was the space that I wish I would have had years ago when I was growing my first business. And it is really aimed at giving female entrepreneurs who are like-minded, who are wanting to create genuine connections, wanting to support other women, wanting to be in a positive space, somewhere where they can network in a way that feels good, but is also effective, right? Because we've all been to those networking groups that feel very cold and transactional. We've also been to those networking groups that are very warm and touchy-feely and friendly, but we're all like walking around hugging each other, pretending like we don't have businesses. And the Powerful Women Rising community is aimed to be a space somewhere in the middle. We also have a mastermind call every month, which everyone always raves about, because it is so important when you are an entrepreneur to not be trying to do it alone and to have somewhere that you can go to say, I'm really struggling with this. I can't figure out what to do here. I'm really frustrated. I have some ideas. Do you guys think they're good ones? I created this thing. Can you give me some feedback? Whatever it is, to have that safe, supportive space to go as you're growing your business and trying new things and reevaluating and tweaking and analyzing. It's just invaluable. It's just incredible. I have had women come on to the mastermind calls completely ready to quit their business because nothing they have done has worked. And by the end of that mastermind call, they have a solid plan in place for how to move forward, and they're actually excited about their business again. So I am just loving everything about it. And I am excited for today's interview because I have 3 of my founding members. They've been with me since day one, talking about your relationship with community. And that's really what it is all about. We talk about the Powerful Women Rising community, but we also talk about other communities that we are members of and the benefit of having those communities, how you find the right community for you, and then how you leverage those communities to be what you need them to be to help your business grow. So today I am talking to 3 amazing women. The first is Dr. Lindsey Lee. She is an executive coach, and she also works for the Lynch Law Firm, which is based out of Texas, and they help employers and businesses who have people problems. I am also talking to Teresa Romain. She's one of the most lovely humans. She is an abundance coach, and she helps women break through their money issues, all of that they're struggling with, that they think all of this will be so much better if I just had more money, but then they get more money and they're like, all of this would be so much better if I just had more money, and it never ends until you hire Teresa. And then my third guest is Amy Gardikas. She has a company called Rejoice, and they make custom blankets, like super high quality, awesome blankets that are memory blankets. So you can put notes on there. You can put old greeting cards on there. You can put pictures on there. You could probably put like tickets from concerts or plane tickets on there, whatever you want to create a memory of someone or for someone. So she makes blankets for moms who are sending their kids off to college. She makes blankets for families who have loved ones that are deployed. She makes memory blankets if you want to have something to just wrap yourself in and remember your grandma with all of the Easter cards that she sent you. Is that just me that has a whole bunch of grandma's Easter cards in the closet? Pictures of grandma. They're just the coolest things. I'm obsessed with them. So anyway, that is who I'm interviewing. We are talking about your relationship with community, and I hope that you will listen and that you will find the community that is right for you. If I can help, definitely reach out to me. I have been to many networking events, many networking groups. I've been a member of many of them, and I'm happy to point you in the right direction. All right, here we go. Hello, ladies. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi.
Thank
Hello.
you. Hi.
Hi. So I am here today with three of the members of the Powerful Women Rising community, Lindsey Lee, Amy Gardikas, and Teresa Romain. I'm going to let them introduce themselves and tell you guys a little bit about what they do. So Teresa, do you want to go first?
Sure. I am Teresa Romain, and I have been an abundance coach for nearly 27 years. And I am on a mission to transform the scarcity-based relationship with money we've all grown up with and the model it gives us for how we do money individually and collectively, because it's just not working in our world. And so I work with individuals to transform their relationship with money, specifically women who regularly experience pressure, stress, fear, anxiety, guilt around money, no matter how much money they make. And they've been doing all the things they think they need to do to experience the abundance they long for. And they think money's going to give it to them. But money's not the solution to scarcity that we think it is. And I give them the new model they need so they can experience the abundance that really is their birthright.
I love that so much. Lindsey, you want to go next?
Sure. Hi. Thank you, Melissa, for having me here today. I appreciate it. I am Dr. Lindsey Lee, and I am an industrial organizational psychologist working for the Lynch Law Firm. We are an employment-based law firm based in Austin, Texas. And frankly, we are in the business of solving people problems that are inevitable when you own a business and have employees. Even if you're the only employee, sometimes you need solutions around that as well. And so in my capacity at the firm, I primarily work in our workplace investigations department as well as in our executive coaching space. So as I mentioned, our goal really is to help employers, small businesses, small and mid-sized business and nonprofits solve their people problems.
Love it. Thank you. And Amy.
Hi. Yes, my name is Amy Gardikas. Thank you so much for having me here as well. I'm really excited. I am a new entrepreneur. I own a company called Rejoice. And what I do is I take people's saved greeting cards that are stashed away in a box, probably never to be seen again, capturing moments in their lives or people they love. And I create blankets, memory blankets, to capture the people or the events in their lives that they want to experience again. So it's a vehicle for them to feel that joy over and over again on something that they just have in their house every day, that they can pull over them and read through those memories and have all those feelings bubble up, especially at the end of a bad day. It's a comforting thing to have. So I create blanket hugs is what I basically do. So
That's awesome.
Yeah, in a nutshell.
And you do greeting cards, pictures, notes, all that kind of stuff you can put on there. Right?
I do. Yeah. Not just greeting cards, but yeah, anything that is part of that memory. For instance, I'm working on a memorial blanket right now for someone, her grandfather passed away. So I'm working on, there's a few cards, there's some photos, and there's several notes from him, letters on there. So everything that encompasses that person, that memory, or that event in life goes on the blanket. And that way, yeah, they can relive it anytime they want.
That's so cool. Such a brilliant idea. I love it. So we are here today to talk about your relationship with community and why it's important and what the value is as entrepreneurs, particularly as female entrepreneurs, to have a community. So I know you guys are each part of multiple communities, not just the Powerful Women Rising community, but I want to talk first about why you initially wanted to be part of a community. Why was it important to you to be surrounded by other female business owners? And Lindsey, if you want to start, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, sure. So I am also a military spouse. And what that has meant for me most recently in life is lots of moving. Before we got to where we're at now, we had moved 5 times in the 6 years prior to that. And in that time, I lost a sense of how important community actually is to me. And simultaneous to that, I have been working from home for about 10 years. And so once we got the opportunity to do a little bit of settling where we're at, we've been here now for 3 years, and I got to get back in touch with that sense of myself that does need to feel surrounded by support and connection. And so I, went out on a mission this year, actually, because it's COVID times, or has been COVID times, and that put a damper on things. But this year, I really started prioritizing those relationships and rooting myself more than I ever have, at least in recent years. And it has enriched my life, not just in business, but just my life more generally, to find a way to build those connections and wrap our family with the kind of support that we hadn't been able to cultivate before we got here.
Yeah, that's awesome. Amy, what about you? You're a newer entrepreneur. What was your motivation in wanting to be part of a community of entrepreneurs?
For me, it was, I knew going into this that I didn't want to feel like I was on an island by myself, especially going through things that I've never experienced before. And so I went seeking out a community, seeking out a group of women that I can meet, connect with, I can bounce things off of them, get their insight and feedback. This group has women that are like me, who are newer entrepreneurs, and women like Teresa, who've been, doing this for, nearly 30 years now. And I think that there's so much value in that, because you're going to have people that are struggling like me with early challenges in entrepreneurship. And then you're going to have seasoned, vets in this game, basically, who can come through and say, I've been there, and, this is what I'm dealing with, or this is how I handled it, or, just basically all of that wisdom and insight. And so I just didn't want to feel like I was by myself, and I didn't want to navigate the challenges alone and maybe make some critical mistakes along the way that could mean my business doesn't make it. And if I just would have been part of a community who could have told me those cautionary tales, I maybe wouldn't make a fatal mistake. So yeah, those lots of different reasons for for why I did it, because I just thought it would be silly not to,
Yeah. Two really important points I think that you touched on. One is the fact that it can be very lonely to be an entrepreneur. And sometimes we think, like, for me in the beginning, I thought, well, I'm not going to be lonely. I have my husband, I have my family here, I have my friends. But having these conversations with people who are not business owners, who don't understand what goes into owning and running and marketing a business, is very, very different. Like, I'm pretty sure my husband doesn't even know what I do 75% of my day.
Can relate.
And the other thing too is the value of being able to tap into other people's wisdom. And I think that when you face a problem in your business, or something that feels like a problem, at least, to be able to have somewhere that you can go to brainstorm solutions, to have someone else say, that's actually not really a problem, to have someone else say, I had that problem last year and here's how I did it. It saves you a lot of time and a lot of money, potentially, and a lot of energy, because you can learn from other people's mistakes. You don't have to go out there and make the mistakes yourself in order to learn the lesson, which I think is huge. What about you, Teresa? You're a member of several different communities. What's the benefit of that for you?
Well, several things come to mind. First of all, I just want to speak that belonging is a human need, and you just can never get that longing for belonging met outside of a community. And I have that longing for belonging and going straight to the work I do. And yet for years, my conscious and subconscious sense of not enough, especially if I didn't have a nice house, or I wasn't successful, or I didn't make a lot of money, had me want to hide, not be part of community until I could get my act together, because I thought if I had my act together, then I'd be accepted and loved. And And what I found is, contrary to that, what actually gave me that belonging, what actually helped me begin to trust my inherent worth, not measured by my success or mistakes and stuff like that, was stopping the hiding and showing up in community. And then I could get like, oh, I'm not alone. People can like me and accept me, even though, I'm not making much money. I could discover that I had value to offer, and it wasn't because I could buy their products or something like that. And it kind of sums up into a line in the work that I do, where I just keep saying it back to people. Abundance is not a solo sport. It's not a do-it-yourself project. We live in a world where we think we're supposed to be self-made, but the rest of creation doesn't play that game. Like, creation shows us that we need the bees to pollinate the flowers, to produce the fruit so we can eat them. So it really speaks to, when I'm in a community, I'm walking my own talk. And the final piece is, when I was in a very powerful community several years ago, I was tempted to leave it and say, nope, not going to continue for the next year. And then I had an image come to me. And anybody who knows me knows that I love all of creation and birds, but especially sandhill cranes, these big, huge 4-foot tall birds with 5 to 6 foot wingspans. And we have a ton of them where we live. And every fall, they start to migrate to Florida. And they can cover like 300 miles a day. And the image that came to me is, my cranes migrating to Florida do not cover 300 miles a day because they're flapping their wings really, really, really hard. It's because they flap their wings to get off the ground and to get high enough so they can find the thermals that can carry them where they want to go with so much more ease, so much less energy. And that still continues to be one of my best models of what community offers. It's like, yeah, we have the things that we have to do in our business, but a community can become those thermals that when our wings are tired or when our arms are tired, can hold us up and lift us and help us go where we need to go.
Yeah,
Absolutely. That's a great analogy. You're good.
Yeah.
You're good. And 98% of the time, your analogies are great.
Thank you.
I'm the same way. Every once in a while, I drop one that everybody's like, no, that was terrible. I'm like, okay, just kidding. And I think you brought up a really good point in the beginning when you were talking about, feeling like you are not enough or too much or don't meet the criteria of whatever we think that successful entrepreneur looks like. And that made me think too, like, part of it is not just about finding a community to be a part of. It's about finding the right community to be a part of. And that's going to look different for everybody. But what are some of the things that you guys have found during your journey that you've identified is like, this is a quality of a community that is good for me. This is a quality of a community that I don't love. What are some of the things that you guys have found?
I'll go ahead and go. For me, what I've found to be most valuable in community is diversity. And I mean diversity in a lot of different ways. Diversity in people's backgrounds, diversity in the way they think, diversity in their experiences, that frame the lens through which they view the world. And I think my experience as a military spouse informs this as well. I did not expect to be talking about that so much today. But as we've traveled, not the world, we didn't get that promise. We've traveled the nation, and I've met so many people in so many different places with such different experiences that brought them to, the time and place of our meeting. And I've just been reminded time after time after time that nobody has my story. I don't have anyone else's story, and all of it has value. And if only we're open to hearing the lessons and the experiences of others. And so for me, finding a community with diverse voices, like Powerful Women Rising and diverse backgrounds, is really has been really valuable to me. And as I as I experience the community, and also as I think about solving the problems in my business, or, whatever, kind of tangible task thing I'm dealing with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And finding a space where that diversity not only exists, but is encouraged.
Yeah.
Like while you were talking, I was thinking about the
Celebrated.
networking call that we were on for the Powerful Women Rising community today. And, people were doing their introductions, and if they wanted feedback, we were giving them feedback. And there were several times during that call that not everybody agreed on the feedback. That somebody would say, I didn't like this part. And somebody else was like, I loved that part. Or this word didn't really resonate with me. And somebody else is like, it totally resonated with me. And there's huge benefit in being in a space where that is encouraged, as opposed to being in a space where, I don't know, I've been in entrepreneurship communities or networking groups where it doesn't feel as safe to disagree. It doesn't feel as safe to be different from the norm. And so everybody's just there like patting each other on the back and telling everybody that was so good and it was perfect and you don't need to change anything. And that feels great, but it doesn't always help move the needle forward in your business.
Mm-hmm.
Teresa, what are some of the things that you look for in a community?
Well, definitely one is what you just said. I have to have this sense of safety is an important value of the community. And that looks like being honest with each other, but doing so in a way that is going back to that idea of the thermals. It is about lifting up. It's where, I'm going to feel safer with people who will give me, quote, positive and negative feedback. And I say in quotes on that. I'm going to feel safer with them than somebody who's always like, oh, it was great. Oh, it was great. Oh, it was great. And so there's a certain level of authenticity, a sense of safety, of non-judgmentalism that I look for, a broader sense of acceptance and collaboration. But I think more than anything for me, it's an energetic vibration. It's an intuitive hit and it goes back to the thermals, that when I engage with that community, I have felt lifted up. I have been felt move forward. I feel lighter, more powerful, and it's been mutual. I've been in some communities where it's kind of like I feel like I'm making this community work. And it's not even my community, or I'm the one who's like, whatever. And so there has to be this exchange, this flow, but that truly, I feel lifted up, lighter. Those needs are getting met, both appreciation, belonging, acceptance, growth, challenge, and contribution. And it's also helping me move forward in whatever intention or goals I have that had me want to be part of that community.
Yeah, for sure. When you were talking about that, I was flashing back to our first call, because you've been a member of the Powerful Women Rising community from the very beginning. Actually, all three of you have. And Teresa and I are members of another community. We have been for several years. We don't live in the same state, not anywhere close to the same state. So I think we've seen each other's face or in passing on the Zoom screen before. And she booked a call with me because she wanted to talk about this new community that I was starting. And I remember her getting on the phone and basically saying, like, I don't really know why I'm here. I don't really know what I am going for, but somewhat, she said it much better than I'm saying it. But basically what she was saying was, something is telling me that this is right for me. And I think that's an important point too, because sometimes we can't name what it is, whether it's positive or negative, right? Sometimes we walk into a networking space and you're like, I don't know what it is, but this is not the place for me.
Yep.
Or the opposite. So it's important to listen to that too, even if you can't put words to why, to just trust yourself.
Yep.
Amy, anything you want to add?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I agree wholeheartedly with what Lindsey and Teresa have both said. It's funny, I joined your group and I joined another group at the same time. And I realized quite quickly that the other group that I had joined was not at all what I needed. And it just wasn't going to work for me, to piggyback on your, your last comment there. So it was very salesy. Every event was really expensive to attend. And it felt more like, I felt more like they were parties. It felt like there's just a DJ, and there's, they're in like almost a club setting, and there's food and there's music. And it felt, it didn't feel like it would be anything that would benefit me at all. I wasn't looking for a dance party. I was looking for a community like this, like Powerful Women Rising. I was looking for female entrepreneurs who could help me, who I could help, and, and just connect with and hear their stories and benefit from their experience, as well as I can share some of mine and help people. And it felt just very artificial and salesy. And I got out of the group. I left the group immediately, and I stayed with Powerful Women Rising. And I'm so glad I did, because everything that is offered in this community, I need it. I need to connect with people, especially as a brand new entrepreneur. I need to be able to go to a mastermind call and say, I'm struggling with this, can you guys help me? Hey, look at my website. Can you give me some feedback? And just like the call we just did on the, feedback on the introductions, that was immensely helpful for me. And everyone is so invested in the other women in this community. And I just think that's amazing, because everybody has the right motivation. They're there. They're not just there for themselves and what they can get out of it. Everybody's there, that's a part of it, but they're also, they just as much, if not more, want to help wherever they can. And I just think that's really amazing. And it's special, and it certainly isn't something you find everywhere.
Yeah, I agree.
Melissa,
you guys have heard. Yeah, go, Lindsay.
Can I just add, one of the things that both of you said in different ways that just really resonated with me, that I wanted to make sure we highlight, is the sense of collaboration that we have in the community. Because in contrast to some of those other kinds of groups that we've all been in, we walked into this community, a virtual community, I might add, and immediately had arms wrapped around us, immediately had someone's we could go to ask a particular question or get support from. And there just always is that genuine sense of wanting to help and share what that maybe another person doesn't know, and the other way around. And so that sense of collaboration is just so strong in this community. And in others, it's felt more like competition or one-upsmanship or sucking all the air out of the room when it's your turn. I'm guilty of that too sometimes. But that's one of the things that I think differentiates this community from others that I have been part of or have attended.
Yeah, I agree. And, you guys have heard me say it before. I have been to networking groups that were very business focused, and that is really effective for a lot of people. And it just wasn't my vibe. I did not feel arms wrapped around me, quite the opposite. And then I've also been in groups that were very connection and relationship focused, where they almost didn't even talk about the fact that they had businesses, right? Like we all just kind of talked around it. And I couldn't find the space that was somewhere in the middle. And I knew that it had to exist. There had to be a way that we could help each other grow our businesses and network and refer each other and be valuable to each other, and also be real, compassionate, empathetic, fun human beings. Yeah, Teresa.
Yeah. And I want to add one other thing, that this is speaking specific to Powerful Women Rising and why I continue to be a member. And that goes back to you, Melissa, because I've been in a lot of, founders create a community, and then they make sure, they hold on to the reins of that community very tightly. Like they're the expert, they're the ones who are doing the coaching. They're, it in some respects, it's about their community and them. And it can be a great community. But one of the things that really makes this community different for me is, yes, you're the facilitator, and yes, you bring expertise on networking and some of the things why I wanted to join, but it really is an our community, and everybody's jumping in, and you have enough, I'll call it self-confidence, self-knowing of who you are, that you don't have to be the center of attention. And that's an essential for community. And that's harder to do, to create a community, but then you want to hold the reins, and you really have fostered that. And I think that's a testament to you and powerful relationships.
Thank you. Thank you. It's funny, I've never told this story before, but I know you're going to appreciate it. I was told like a year ago by a astrologer that I was an intuitive and that I needed to lean into that more and listen to that more. And I was like, I don't know what that means, but okay. And so I've really worked on it. I've really tried to let myself be quiet and listen to whatever it is and not try to force it. And when it comes to actually listen. So the point of this story is the name Powerful Woman Rising came to me one night when I was laying in bed, and I was like, I don't know what that is, but cool. And I will never forget, my husband had taken me to the hot springs, and we were sitting in a hot pool, and I think I had my eyes closed. We're just sitting there in silence in the adults only section where it's silent. And something just came to me that said, it's about them. And I thought, that's interesting. And I went through like 5 different versions of what that meant. Like my first idea was, I'm going to create like a directory of experts, and it's going to be about them and who wants these other experts that I can vouch for, that I have vetted, that I know are awesome. And then something was like, no, that's not it. And so it's,
but you did find a way to build that into the community, though.
I did.
And that's another benefit, right? Is that we get to tap into, all of the investment that you've made in developing those relationships with people who will be good resources for us.
Totally, for sure. Yeah. But I was always trying to figure out, like, who is them?
Yeah.
Am I supposed to be putting on like a conference and it's the people that are on the stage? Is it the people in the audience? Who is them? And so I'm only bringing that up because as Teresa was talking, all of a sudden I was like, that's who they are.
Yeah. Just now in this moment.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's always been in my consciousness that my whole goal here is to give you guys what you need. And if you don't need it, I don't want to give it to you. And if you do need it and you're not getting it, I want to make sure that you get it. And so even though I just put those 2 and 2 together, it really always has been like, what do these ladies need in order to grow their businesses? Lindsey, you mentioned the fact that this is virtual, and I know a lot of people don't love virtual events. I'm one of them, actually. It's the whole reason you guys know that I started running those virtual speed connects every month, because I have been to most every virtual networking event there is, and they are not the best. So what is your thought on networking or communities in person versus online? Anybody who wants to go can go.
Well, I'll jump in. I live in the middle of rural Wisconsin, in an old farmhouse. I have to drive an hour to get to any city in Madison. And so even before COVID, like Zoom was my connection.
Yeah.
So for me, virtual makes it more possible for me. It allows me to have a continuity of community that's harder for me to do live. If I lived in Madison, I could go to networking live events all the time, but that's not really an option for me. And so in that respect, I love virtual, especially in the winter in Wisconsin when I can just stay home. I mean, yes, there are advantages to live. I love going to live events and you get to meet people, especially post-COVID. But in being able to tap into community consistently and have my life work around it, like virtual fits really well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And have you found that you still feel like you are able to create genuine connections and real relationships with people that you've never been in the same room with?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I was doing that before COVID. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I love it when I can then, let's do real life coffee. But it's not about the tech. It's not about the technology. It really is about the authenticity and the openness and the sharing and the connection and the conversation. Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to meet you for the first time in Minnesota next month. That will be like,
that's exciting.
It'll probably be like, oh, you're Melissa.
It's going to be like seeing Bigfoot. Hopefully better. But like the thing that you're like, I'm pretty sure it exists in real life, but I can't actually prove that. I've never been.
Yeah, I'm probably going to have to go up to you. Yep, you're Melissa.
I'll just prepare you. Everyone who meets me in real life for the first time says, I didn't realize you were so tall.
Can relate.
Lindsey, I saw you nodding your head a lot when Teresa.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, so since I've worked from home for so long, I even before COVID was well aware that you can develop good relationships, that you can be productive in a virtual environment. And I think what COVID sort of transformed is it brought the rest of the world into that line of thinking in some ways, right? And we've all gotten a lot better at doing it. So we're not just all staring at each other and waiting for the next person to talk. And I do think there, Melissa, one of the things you do in the monthly Speed Connects and in the things we do in our community is that you are always prepared with a structure that gives everyone space and enables us to, just have those authentic conversations. And so I do think that the quality of the facilitator matters. And some do it better than others. But all of that is to say I'm 100%, even though I do live in a city and I can go to networking events, everything's 20 minutes away. And then all of a sudden it's a 3-hour affair for me to do something in real life. And so I appreciate the virtual environments. And of course, I was just at an in-person thing this morning. Like I'm still doing those things, but I definitely have shed the mistaken belief that, I need to meet someone in the real world first, and then we can maybe do some virtual stuff. It's just not necessary.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons that I always encourage people, if you meet someone out at a networking event or in a networking group and they want to have a one-on-one with you, I always go first to 30 minutes virtual. And this is something I hear over and over and over and over from people is, I like networking, but I don't have time to do 25 coffees after that. Right. And so if you are doing 30 minutes virtual versus 20 minutes to drive to the coffee shop, you're there at least an hour and 20 minutes to drive home. You could have done 4 in that time, right? And that makes it much easier too, because then you have those connections. You can make the decision based off of that time. Is this someone I want to invest more time and energy in? Yeah. And it definitely maximizes the time that you're spending on networking.
Well, and the other piece of the community that we haven't talked about is also the Facebook group that we have. So we literally have 24/7 access to one another. And so that is sort of that part of the community sort of fills the gap between events and enables us to carry on conversations, to start new conversations, to, whatever the need is at any given point in time. I think that acts as the gap filler that also supports the relationships. So when we do come together, there's that, like one of the women in the group, actually, I just met in real life this morning and she and I both had the same like reaction, like, I feel like I know you. I feel like we're friends. I feel like, we had a connection already, even though we only had ever interacted online.
Yeah. That's awesome. Amy, what's your thought on the virtual world?
Honestly, I mean, to piggyback on Lindsey's comment that COVID taught us that, what's possible when it comes to virtually connecting with people. Prior to being an entrepreneur, I was in the corporate world and I had Monday through Friday, in office job. And when COVID started, I learned quite quickly, like the rest of the world, that, you had to pivot and figure out how to connect with people virtually. And, with my company, I was virtual with them for over 2 years. And so it taught me a lot. And I kind of realized that I thought going into it that I needed the face-to-face with people. And I learned that I didn't. And I learned it pretty quickly. And so I feel like, I mean, I feel like I know these women. I feel like, I don't need the face-to-face. And yes, I absolutely agree with the time saving factor of not having to drive to the event. And then who knows, you might get stuck talking to somebody you maybe don't want to talk to, if I'm being completely honest. And there's really it's harder to wrap it up when you're face-to-face. You can be like, okay, bye, but in a networking environment or in virtual environment, that the structure is there. Everybody, is talking and connecting and doing, whatever that particular event is, whether it's mastermind or networking. And then it's over. And so, and yeah, you do it from the convenience of your own home, which I think is amazing. So I fully support the virtual, and I don't feel like, me personally, like I need the face-to-face. So
yeah. Teresa,
and one other quick thing. The whole other thing that virtual makes possible is like the connection we have.
Correct.
I mean, it goes beyond geographic boundaries. I mean, we're all in different states or different towns or different cities. So when you think of the impact and the expanse of network and connections and relationships you can have, it's so much bigger, and reach and, all of that is so much bigger when there's an opportunity to connect virtually.
Yeah, absolutely. And even if you are somebody who has a brick and mortar business or a business that requires your clients to be local, I think sometimes, we've got women in the Powerful Women Rising community who only work with people locally, but there's still a benefit of being a part of the community because you still have access to all of those resources, all of that support, all of those cheerleaders, all of their wisdom. So I think it's awesome. I love not being limited to just the people in this town, especially when you live in a city that is a big city that feels like a small town. It's really nice to be able to branch out. When you get to the point that you start feeling like every networking event you go to is the same people over and over and over, it's really nice to be able to have a new population of people. Yeah. So you guys are great. I could stay here and talk to you forever, but I'm not going to. But before we wrap it up, I want you guys to just have an opportunity to share with everybody who's listening. If they are interested in what you do, if they want to find out more about your blankets or your executive coaching services or your abundance coaching, what is the best way for them to get in touch with you and to reach out? Lindsey, you want to share first?
Yeah, sure. So you can find my firm and my coaching services online at the firm is lynchlf.com. That's lynchlf.com. You can also find me at coachlindsey.com. That's lindsey. And so you can get more information there. But if you want to connect with me, I'm on LinkedIn. So just find Lindsey M. Lee, PhD, and you should see this face. And I'll be happy to connect with anyone who has an interest there.
Awesome. Thanks, Lindsey. What about you, Amy?
Visit my website if you're interested in creating a blanket for yourself or someone you love to capture one of those memories or those life moments. My website, which is www.rejoys.com. And if you have a question and you want to just email me something before you start the process, my email address is amy@rejoys.com, amy@rejoys.com.
Awesome. Thank you. And Teresa?
You can reach me in all sorts of ways. Primary would be my website, which is my name, teresaromain.com. No H in Teresa, got the H knocked out of me a long time ago. No E in Romain. If you put that in, you're going to find a romance author, and that's not me. I'm also on LinkedIn as Teresa Romain something, and Instagram as Teresa Romain Abundance, and Facebook Teresa Romain Access Abundance. So if you spell my name correctly and Google me, you'll find me.
Awesome. And you share some awesome reels on Instagram. So if people are interested in your content, I definitely recommend Instagram. I love the stuff you post on there. Ladies, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your contributions to the Powerful Women Rising community. You are so awesome. And thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Thanks so much for listening to another episode of the Your Relationship With podcast. If you want to hang out more with Lindsey, Teresa, Amy, me, and a whole bunch of other awesome women like us, definitely check out the Powerful Women Rising community. It is a community in every sense of the word, and we would love to have you there. Also, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes, leave us a review, and come back next week.